Welcome to Running with Puppies. Show them how to run. Hey, this is Greg. I'm going to talk about how to avoid running injuries. If this is your first time at Running with Cameras, make sure you click the subscribe button to get more information about running and inspiration about running. And it's starting to rain, and I'm going to start this list fast. Injuries are a tough thing because every runner wants to be out there on the road running. And it's also kind of a personal thing because only you know your body. You can go to your doctor and get his or her opinion, which is obviously something you should do if you have a serious injury. But even then, there's just an element to kind of guesswork to the whole thing. And you're always wondering, like, is rest what I need right now, which is often the right idea, but how much rest? And do you consider going all the way to the point of getting surgery for an injury that might have healed on its own? So it's just a tough subject that, you know, there's a lot of murky areas to it. So I'm just gonna share some of the things that I've sort of maybe benefited from, even though the irony is right now I am dealing with a very mild injury and I'm being really cautious with it. So I'm hoping to avoid something more serious by taking time off. And it's winter time, even though you wouldn't know it, it's 58 degrees right now, but the low tonight is gonna be 10. Crazy weather here in New England. But I'm taking a lot of time off because it's a good time of year to do so and I don't have any races. That's another way to consider your injuries is what's your race calendar look like? And you often have to make adjustments based on whether you got something big coming up that you feel like you have to line up for. Luckily I don't, so I'm gonna take some time off. So here are 10 different tips, ideas, thoughts to help you avoid getting injured while you're out there running. First tip on a way to avoid a running injury is rotate your shoes. This can be tough on your wallet, of course, but if you're able to get a half a dozen different types of shoes, different brands, maybe some different styles, in my opinion, that's like a natural way that you're gonna have a slightly different footfall every time you hit the ground. So without you even trying to, you're gonna have a little bit less of that repetition that you would if you had the same sneaker, which I know a lot of people love to run in the same shoe all the time. It's their favorite shoe, they buy a ton of them. That probably works for a lot of people, but for me, I just decided I'm gonna have a half dozen different pairs that I'll just rotate. Number two, variety, again, being the main theme, is vary up your types of runs. You don't wanna just go out and run and do the same type of run every day. I think a lot of people, when they get into running, they find a route that they like to run and they do that same, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 mile run every single day. They go at the same time of day, run the same run all the time. And I feel like that could be a recipe for injury because again, you're talking total repetition. Whereas if you vary the terrain, you vary the route, you vary the mileage, of course, then you're varying up the stress on your body. Number three, vary up your paces. This is a big one because I think tons of beginner runners, they settle into a pace that feels comfortable for them. That could be a 10-minute mile, it could be an 8-minute mile, whatever your pace is, but you just stay there with this sort of one pace is like the golden pace. And that to me seems like, again, a total recipe for injury because you're stressing your joints and your muscles and your body the exact same way all the time. And most training plans will tell you this, is you vary up the different types of runs between like a speed workout, maybe a hill workout one day, a long, slow run. So again, just variety. If you're a beginning runner, don't run the same route, same pace all the time. Number four, vary up your surfaces. Like right now, I'm out on trails. I love to run on trails. I think in general, that's easier on your joints and on your body. Don't run on concrete all the time. Concrete is tough on your joints, on your muscles, on your body, on your bones, all that stuff. So try running if you have dirt trails near your house. Try running in the snow if it's in the winter time. Maybe get yourself some spikes. Try running on maybe the sand if you're near the ocean. Try all sorts of surfaces, grass. Your body's gonna thank you for it, not just doing concrete all the time, which is definitely the toughest on your body. A classic way to avoid injury that you hear again and again in training plans, because there's good wisdom behind it, is the 10% rule, which is you don't want to increase your total weekly mileage by more than 10% every week. So if you run, 10 miles your first week of running ever, which is great, don't do more than like 11 miles or something the next week. So just ramp up slowly. If you get all excited, tons of new runners get burnt out and injured quickly because they get really into the sport, and a lot of runners have that addictive personality. And you go from running 10 miles a week to 30 miles a week and suddenly you're injured. So you have to take it slow. You got to ramp up that mileage slowly. Number 6, good form. This is a hard one for me to show since I'm not actually running right now and dealing with mild injury myself, nor am I a great form runner probably, I don't know. Good form is all about, you can watch whole separate videos on this topic But in general, the way I like to think about good form is to be light on your feet. You know, I'm 6'4", whatever, 190 something pounds. And, you know, that's a lot of weight coming down with each footfall. So I try to deliberately be mindful of running light on my feet, you know, and I think if you just think about that lightness, and you can get a gait analysis if you go to like a high quality running store and find out if you're a forefoot, midfoot, or heel striker. You don't want to be a heel striker. You know, that always has kind of been known to lead to potential knee injuries because you're sort of crashing down on your heel each time you hit the ground. Maybe think about trying to become a midfoot or forefoot striker, although that can be tough to transition to, and you might want to work with like a coach on that. I had a real period after reading the book Born to Run, and it talked all about the barefoot running, where I deliberately tried to work on becoming a forefoot striker, and it was tough on my calf muscles for a while making that transition, but I was able to do it, and I think I'm now more of a midfoot striker. It's something that's good to think about. As well as your posture. You want to run tall. You know, think about almost like a string pulling you up at the top of your head, and engaging your core and having good upper body form, and that will help your running in a number of ways as well. Cross training, going to the gym and working on your entire body fitness is another huge way. If you just run all the time, there's a higher chance of getting injured, of course, whereas cross-training folks who do swimming or biking with weights, all of the above, you know, doing a lot of core work, you know, strength work, that's gonna really help you stay injury-free. So do that stuff. All right, number 8, back off when you feel something. This one can be tough for runners because as a runner, you really wanna be out there running, and runners are tough. I mean, it's a pretty mentally tough breed to be a runner in general, and to have discipline to get out there and run through pain and all the things that runners deal with. So because of that mentality, I think it's hard to back off when you feel something nagging. And for me, some of this has to deal with whether or not you have a race in terms of how much to back off. If you've signed up for something and you're deep in your training, it can be hard to not do the day of training that you're scheduled to do. But my feeling in general is, when at all possible, give it an extra rest day, because it's better to take that day of rest, get it back out there healthy, than to end up, you know, on the sidelines and not be running for like 6 months. You have to try to figure out the difference between hurting and being injured, you know, and that can be a fine line, because oftentimes you're in the middle of a run and you feel something. That happens all the time. You're like, what's that little thing happening in my knee or my calf or whatever, my Achilles? A lot of times though, you keep running and by the end of the run, you're fine. So, you know, some general feelings about this topic, I feel like, is if that injury or nagging feeling stays with you after you're done running and stays with you for like another day, that could be something significant. Number 9, stretching and foam rolling. And for this one, I'm gonna say foam rolling, because I use that device as my form of basically stretching, because I'm the least flexible human on earth. I can't stand stretching, I hate it. And I've read some articles that even suggest it could be problematic for someone that has such tight like hamstrings as I do, or you might actually be kind of tearing muscles or threads of muscles when you're stretching. So anyway, I've reached the point where I foam roll religiously when I'm training a lot, and that is a great way to keep your muscles, you know, pliable, and it really helps prevent injury to get on that foam roller. And for me, it's just a routine thing where you do it at nighttime. If you're sitting down to watch TV, just spend 20 minutes doing foam rolling first, and your body will thank you for it. A few more tips to round out the end of my list here. I'm gonna kind of combine the last few things and say nutrition, diet, and sleep. All those things are super important to avoid getting injured, because getting good rest in your sleep and to eat good food in your diet will keep you lighter. You don't want to be carrying a lot of extra weight, which is tough on your body, leading to injury. And good fuel will help your running in tons of ways. So eat well, sleep. I almost slipped. I could probably do a whole separate video on nutrition. There's lots to talk about there with eating and being healthy. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys do to stay injury free? I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, from some of you runners who've been running for a long time without injuries. What's your secret? All right, it's starting to rain. I'm gonna go. Hopefully I'll be running soon. Thanks guys, bye.